Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year. This is my first video recording of the new year of 2026. And all I gotta say is 2026 is off to a very interesting start. We all know the latest headlines in regards to Trump capturing Maduro this weekend in Venezuela. It's been going viral all over the internet and all over the cable news, mainstream liberal media news. As I said, Trump has captured Maduro, and now he is in custody of U.S. law enforcement. He was captured over this weekend in Venezuela via military operation conducted by Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense. That was one good operation I give credit to. I don't agree with the policy and operation in principle. However, it was well carried out by the Trump administration. So now Maduro's in U.S. custody in the Manhattan District Court, and it's the similar thing to what happened to Manuel Noriega back in the early 1990s when George H.W. Bush conducted a military operation to capture Noriega from Panama due to the smuggling of illegal drugs, similar to the charges that Maduro is facing here in America. I don't know how the legalities is going to play out because of there's U.S. drug laws and there's international drug laws. So I don't really know how the legality is going to play out. But hey, that's neither here or there. Now, a lot of course, a lot of liberals and Democrats has an issue with this operation being done. And a lot of socialists and communists has issues with it. Of course, they have an issue with everything Trump do. If Trump was a sneeze, they're going to have an issue with that. But yeah, of course, they have issues with it because they look at Maduro as their socialist dictator. They look at Maduro as their king. They look up, matter of fact, these socialists and these Democrats, which are pretty much socialists nowadays. They're trying to appeal to socialists nowadays, so I pretty much could label them as such. They look up to a lot of communist and socialist dictators, people like Maduro, people like Fidel Castro, and Mugabe, and Xi Jinping. They look up to these individuals, communist dictators, but yet they have the nerve to label Trump as a king. Go figure. But yeah, they look up to people they label as a king, like if they follow their ideology, if they adhere to their ideology. But when it's Trump, someone who's far from a communist and a socialist, somebody like him, they look at him as a fascist dictator. So they compare him to Hitler and all this type of nonsense that's far from the truth. But anyway, from a perspective, yeah, if you look at this in principle, I don't agree with the U.S. government conducting a war on drugs because it's no longer the 1980s. So in principle, I disagree with it. However, from a political perspective, and an economic perspective, and a geopolitical perspective, I respect the move Trump has made. Trump made a political move, economic move. Okay, now from a political perspective, he's delivering on his campaign promise of cracking down on fentanyl and all the drugs that's coming across the southern border in Mexico. So he's living up to that promise. He's delivering on that promise, and that's why he blew up the boats, the drug boats from Venezuela, maybe a month or two ago. So he's putting a good faith effort on delivering his campaign promise, although I disagree with it in principle. Now, from economic perspective, he's seizing the he's trying to seize the oil from Venezuela. I can't contend with that. That's something that the liberals are right about. They're correct that Donald Trump is interested in obtaining the oil from Venezuela because Venezuela has around 3 billion barrels of oil in the ground. So of course Trump wants hold of that. Same way how Bush Jr. went to Iraq for the oil back in the early 2000s. Same principle. Okay, so we all know Trump is interested in that. So, however, that's also good economic. That's also a good economic move. Why? Because it costs less money to import things from import goods and products, commodities from other countries than it is to produce them here in America due to excessive environmental regulations. So it is cheaper to import the oil than it is to produce the oil here, as much as I may hate to say it. But I don't ignore facts, so I acknowledge facts even if it does go against my point of view or what I would like for it to be the case. So that means we'll be receiving more oil here in America shortly, as soon as they start the oil drilling and whatever process that they need to carry out in order to obtain that oil. Now, also, this is also a good geopolitical. Now, from a geopolitical perspective, this is also a good move as well because he is abiding by the Monroe Doctrine, something he referred to in his news conference this past weekend. He referred to the Monroe Doctrine that consists of that came about back in 1823 under President James Monroe. That states that the Europe that Europe cannot intervene in U.S. affairs. And then Teddy Roosevelt in 1904 has also piggybacked on that policy, on that doctrine. It's called the Roosevelt's Corollary. If I'm saying it right, Roosevelt's Corollary, which entails that the U.S. has the right to maintain the superiority in the Western Hemisphere. So Trump is adhering to the Monroe Doctrine as well as Roosevelt's Corollary. So Trump, as much as people may hate to say it, people like to say that Trump is a dictator. He's disobeying the law. He's disobeying the Constitution. He's not abiding by the Constitution. But everything Trump carries out is according to the law, to U.S. law and the U.S. Constitution. Now, some may disagree with that, but what it is that what he's doing is he's finding loopholes within the Constitution and the U.S. law. He's finding loopholes, and he's going off of president's laws that was already set in place. So Trump wrongfully issued missile strikes in on Venezuela this past weekend. Yes. And towards carrying out missile strikes on his drug boats from Venezuela and seizing a boat from Venezuela, seizing a ship from Venezuela. He's wrongfully issuing missile strikes. However, he is abiding by the law, a precedent that Barack Obama already set. So all Donald Trump is doing is carrying out the laws that's already in place. So hopefully I gave a good breakdown that y'all able to understand, for everyone to understand about how this is a good political move for Trump, although many may disagree with how it's carried out in principle. However, he's adhering to law, and he's conducting him, Pete Hegseth, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio is doing a good job at carrying out military operations due to the fact that no soldiers has gotten killed or injured, at least as of now, as of the making of this video. So I gotta respect a good military operation, just like how when George H.W. Bush went into Panama to capture Noriega, no soldier was injured or killed, at least to my knowledge. But anyway, that'll be it. That's my 2 cents for this video. I will catch y'all in my next video. Happy New Year, everyone. Peace.